Hi, everybody. This is Ed McLaughlin. I'm here with my partner, Sean Cashmark, and with us today is Ian Sylvester of EKM Global. We want to take a couple minutes to have a conversation about how we work, what we do, what support looks like, and the value that we feel, and I think Ian's going to agree, the value that Predictive Insight brings to EKM and how we're enhancing the American market, particularly for insight, predictive, for not just for predictive insight, but for EKM's insight. Ian, welcome, and glad to have you with us today. So,
Hello,
Sean,
Ed.
anything you'd like to add to this? Because sometimes I have a tendency to take these things over a little bit.
Not you. Uh,
It's a
well,
possibility.
welcome, brother, from the other side of the pond. How you doing?
Uh,
Um,
I'm very well, thank you, Sean.
I think the other thing that we kind of wanted to talk about as we're going through is the relationship and how we built up the relationship with EKM. That we're not just a reseller, we're actually partners with the company, and they're partners with our company as well. So, how's it going over there?
Yeah, it's going very well. As you say, we're partners with all of our distributors around the globe, and we work very, very closely with them. We generally talk to them, maybe not every single day, but certainly multiple times every week. We talk to our distribution, and particularly our American distributors as well. So we look at. Do we want to talk about product review boards now, Ed?
that's a
Straight
good
into
place
it.
to start. I want to just add that, I've had a lot of partner relationships over the years, and very candidly, this is absolutely at the top of the list of the relationships that I've had in over 50 years in the business. EKM is becoming not just a product line for us, but an integral part of our business and an integral part of how we look at our customers and an integral part of how we support our customers. And one of the ways we support is our participation in the product review board. And that's not something that normally a distributor might necessarily be a part of. But Ian, why don't you explain a little bit about what value we bring and what do we do with that?
Yeah.
Can
So
we
all
can we take a step back just for a second? So where the product review board came about was, from the very beginning, in getting into the United States market. Ian and I worked really close together even before Predictive Insight was born on maintaining and making sure the software was ready for the US market, making sure that it could handle 1 million devices on one server and all sorts of other fun stuff. And then when Ed came on board with his vast knowledge, it just became a no-brainer for involving us into the PRB. And then I'll go ahead and take it over there, Ian.
Yeah, so our PRBs are our product review boards, and what happens is that we take all the enhancements from all of our customers, we pass them into a product review board to review those enhancements. If those enhancements has passed as things that we'd really like to put into the product, then we pass it to what we call a change control board, and from there they are properly fleshed out for the requirements and allocated a build. Maybe sometimes we'll push something else out of the current build and put that in. Otherwise, we'll allocate it into our builds that we're doing. Now, what we do in the US is that we run particular product review boards for the US market with Ed and Sean, and we take a lot of input from them and also from some of their customers as well to see what does the US want, what particular things does the US market need to see in our product to meet the requirements. The US obviously being one of our, if not the fastest growing marketplace that we've got currently. So we really want to make sure that we address all your needs and requirements now and in the future.
You touched on an interesting point, Ian. We started out in June of 2020. Since that time, what percent of the units managed do we represent at this point in time?
So right now,
globally,
I think you represent a third of our managed units.
wow.
Probably slightly more, probably 40% of all our units now in those years.
Wow. That's I'm impressed with myself now.
Yes, yes, yes. Latin America was the fastest growing, and in the last 18 months, you've overtaken them.
Well, we're going to try to keep that momentum going, but
Yeah.
thanks for that piece of information.
Which is why it's so important to have these product review boards, which we do every 2 weeks, just to make sure that we're fully aware of all the specific requirements that the US market needs.
Mhm.
If you were
Well,
going to,
one of the things that keeps coming up, and you're not going to get a chance.
I guess,
I'll give you maybe a little chance. One of the things that keeps coming up when we talk to people in the industry is, back about a year or so ago, the rest of your stock was acquired by TD SYNNEX. And can you explain to everyone in the American market how that works and what that means?
Yeah, so TD SYNNEX acquired the shares of EKM Global. So they are our major shareholder, and basically they own the shares, but the company is still a separate legal entity under the UK Companies Act 2006. So all of our contracts are included confidentiality clauses. So we actually, as EKM Global, we don't share any information with TD SYNNEX in any way across the globe. It's our data. It remains the data of EKM Global. Now, we do have some directors that have joined the board of directors from TD SYNNEX, but under that same Companies Act, there are legal implications if they ever would share that data, financial.
what are the, so what are the legal implications? And for the US market, we don't really understand some of the laws that are in Europe and in the UK. What would happen if TD SYNNEX took the customer's information and started utilizing it?
Well, it would be in contravene of the Companies Act. So there are whole tiered levels of fines, slap on the wrists, right up to imprisonment is in there as well. I don't think it would ever come to that, but it is in there.
Okay.
Well, I hope they do go to prison if they ever touch the equipment. So
yeah. So all of our contracts right now, all of our contracts have the clauses in them for confidentiality.
Very cool.
Very cool.
What percentage of, when you look at the PRB and the change control board, and as that's passing through, what percentage of that is geared to the US market compared to the rest of the world market?
It's not as high as you'd think, Sean. A lot of those, the ones that are specific to the US marketplace, are around specific integrations that we see in the US, mainly eAutomate. A lot of the other ones that come in are already tickets that we've got in the system that we've had. So a lot of the time it's prioritizing what's important to the various regions, in particular America. So we might have had a ticket we've had there for quite a while. We'll move it up the priority as we talk to the US and find out that it's needed a lot more. There are the few tickets that come in that we look at and go, why didn't we ever do that? Why haven't we thought of that? And we'll add that straight to the PRB and get them in there as well. There's also a lot of scalability tickets that come in, the US being such a large marketplace with customers that are a lot bigger. And I think a lot of those tickets have already been done. The scalability of the system now, I mean, we think we can support millions of devices on a single portal.
Nice.
It's interesting. One of the things that really jumps out at me, I think we have a lot of features, and I think framework and a lot of things about the Insight product is superior to other products that are on the market. And I say that frequently. But one could make the argument that I only use DCA this way, and it doesn't really matter to me. The one thing I think consistently matters across the market, whether products are comparable or superior, is the level of support. And to me, there may be other differentiators, and I think there's some huge differentiators in Insight, quite frankly. But the differentiation of support, I think, stands out above everything else. We're pretty proud of our support to our customers. But very candidly, we couldn't do it without the level of support that we receive from EKM too. Because when it gets to the level 3, level 2, and sometimes we're handling 1 and 2, but 2 and 3 and the more complicated 2s and the more complicated level 3s, we couldn't do it without the developers and the people at EKM. What sort of response do you measure?
So we measure the standard response is the first time response, the response time for the going back to say this is what we need more information or fixing, and obviously the resolution time as well. So the first response, we don't use an automated response. We manually click that button to send you the response that says we've received a ticket. So that tells you that we physically have seen that ticket and we're looking at it, rather than an automated first response that will generate 20 seconds or something. So our first response is this week it's 2 minutes 43 seconds, and then the next response will be a request for more information, maybe a fix, maybe even a request for a remote session. And then we'll work with yourselves and our customers to fix that problem. And we don't close that problem until the customer has said it's fixed and gone away. And we'll bring in the right people as necessary. So first line, second line, some of the more complex ones, we'll even bring in developers to talk to the people directly to fix it. So all of my team is EKM. We don't outsource any of our development, any of our support, or any of our IT. So it makes it very easy for us to bring in the right level of person. We haven't got to go to a third party to get anybody to come in to talk to you.
And know who it is.
And know who it is.
Have predictability. That's great.
So hopefully, some of your customers that are listening to this will have had that experience. They'll have talked directly to some of our developers that have come on, not just to fix problems, but also to look forward to what features do I want to see as well.
Well, we're pretty proud of our SLAs also. And over the past year, our average first response time is 3 minutes and 4 seconds. And that is the same measure that you have, a physical response, that we've actually looked at it and reviewed it. And our time to resolution is 3 hours and 17 minutes average across the year. So we're giving that kind of support, and candidly, thank you, because without your help, that resolution piece could never be resolved. And a lot of times we're kind of excited because of the time difference. Someone will give us a problem, we'll record it, we'll work with them on it to do it, we'll turn it over to EKM by morning, because you're working when we're sleeping. It's done, it's resolved by the early next morning. And there's not many others out there, I think, that are delivering that level of response.
I think the other piece of that too is not only does that get transferred over to the EKM, where they figure out, especially if it's a tier 2 support issue that ends up coming back, EKM takes the time to sit with our support reps and say, hey, here's what we did, this is how it happened, this is what we said, let me show you this part of it. You see here, this is done this, and this, and that's how we were able to figure out what the issue was. And with the tutelage and the training that our techs get, we could not have the resolution time that we're having now, and I only see it getting better. I mean, you look at our average tenure of our support people; they're fairly new. I mean, as it goes for the EKM. In the EKM world, they're not due to support, but they're due to the EKM world. And Ian and his team with Maria, Alex, and I'm forgetting a couple people, but
Sarah, Louise, Stuart.
Yeah.
There's a whole host of people there to help support. But I mean, the other piece of that I really appreciate from EKM is that they don't just take it for granted. Every week, every Wednesday, Alex and our support staff get together to compare tickets and make sure there's not a log jam. And I don't know how many people take the extra time to do that on a global basis. That's a commitment that I find to be rare. And one of the things that really excites me, because it's not something that we have to push for or ask for. It's just something that's done, that's expected, that this is part of the support mechanism. And I'm going to go on record saying I really appreciate that level of support that we get from EKM, that level of communication, because it's the communication, making sure things aren't caught up in that log jam and be able to distinguish what's a modification and what's a fix. And and as a result, modifications get recorded as a result of ticketing, and we help roll them into the PRB. another good move. So thank you, EKM.
Thank you. And of course, all the support you do at your end reduces the support that we see at our end. So we get the more interesting tickets now.
Sean, anything you'd like to add to this conversation with this? I mean, I think we've covered a lot of ground.
We did. You know, one of the things, you know, as a reseller of the EKM Insight product, we recently picked up another product that actually competes with you guys. What are your feelings about that?
Well, obviously, I'd rather you didn't. But if you look at our distributors across the globe, and we've got 3 major distributors across the globe, every single one of those distributors has additional software or competitive software that they distribute as well. So if you look in Australia, our distributor in Australia is basically writes and distributes the Premier ERP in Australia, but they also carry the other monitoring tools as well, because they need to integrate into all of those. Our sort of one of our other European distributors, they have software that does asset management and things like that as well. So whilst I rather it was just us, I do see the reason for carrying multiple products.
Awesome.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, there is an undercurrent out there. It's a kind of a useless noise bag undercurrent, but saying that EKM would abandon us because we did it, and
no,
I suspect not.
We'd never abandon you.
We never abandon you. I mean,
we like
quite
you
frankly,
too much.
I'll make it very clear. EKM is our premier line. It is really core to our business. Other products are secondary lines, and they're to answer other questions that may not be fully enabled yet in EKM. But we are totally and fully committed to EKM, and that is a core part of our business, and will always be, in my opinion, a core part of our business.
Ian, how long have we been working together now?
Since we were in our early 20s, sure. No, probably.
God almighty, that long?
Yeah.
I had hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I probably think about 15 years, Sean.
Has it been that long? Jeez.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
I think I've been doing print for 25 years, and I think it's when I met you when you came over to the UK that time, didn't I? That's got to be 14, 15 years ago.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. When you were working.
It only feels that long with me.
Yeah.
Oh, only when you get pissed off there, Ed.
That everyone in the world knows that almost never happens.
Yeah. And when you think about it, Sean, when you came over and you met me at that at the reseller I was working at, you met some of the people that are now with us in EKM as well, because they followed me to EKM. So obviously we've got the majority of the team in EKM has been using the software for, blimey, 10 years or more in terms of support and everything.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about working with you and your team is you guys not only know what's under the hood, how to fix what's under the hood, but you know how to drive the car in the real world, not just out of theory, but based on what you've done. And I think that really translates well. You know, we pilfered one of your employees. God, I almost said Stuart. Gareth.
Yeah, you can't have Stuart.
He's next.
Yeah.
But no, and he's been amazing, especially with the Power BI stuff. What kind of real exciting stuff is coming down the pipe right now for you?
That you want to talk about.
That you want to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, really I know the stuff you don't want to talk about. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the next release. I'm really excited about the Power BI. I'm really excited about some of the HP specifics that we're doing with the inline scan bar on the new machines they're releasing. And I think you should see those coming into the channel September, possibly October. These will allow you to press a button remotely and have a look at how that print quality is on that HP device. So I'm excited about that. The next release has got quite a bit of changes in the way that you can do notifications. Both for alerts and moves and changes. So the granularity on there can be very high, or you can go right into detail. You can pick up a particular machine in a particular office with a particular MAC address, looking for a particular alert if you wanted to.
Wow.
So I'm very excited about that. The embedded web server, I know we're slightly behind the curve on this, but that's also looking very, very good. That's in alpha test at the moment. And we should see that by the end of the year, and it'll look really good. And then next year is going to be a lot more what I call incremental changes that will help just make everything a little bit quicker. So whether you were doing 4 clicks now, you'll be doing 2 clicks. And it'll make it that little bit quicker. We're also looking at much more integrations. There's some e-automate tickets that we've picked up that we're going to be looking at to make that a lot slicker. And we're also talking to a lot of other manufacturers as well. We're working very closely in the US with Zebra as well, aren't we? So there's maybe some Zebra enhancements we'll be looking at as well, which would be nice.
That's really a great overview. And I got to tell you, you mentioned that you're a little bit behind the curve on the AWS, and I'm frankly glad that you are embedded web service, because the steps I've noticed you taking are addressing my concerns that I've expressed over time over that application. I think it's great to get remote support and remote service and remote diagnostics. I've been an advocate of it for decades, but the fact of the matter is it has to be done in a secure fashion. And the way that you're doing it, I'm really excited about, because you're really addressing the most important part of it is not to get caught in the wrong situation with a security breach. So thank you for that. And thank you for having the patience to be behind, to do the right thing rather than jump to the market. And that's one of the other things I like about what you do. You have the fortitude to see what needs to be done, but the patience to make sure it's done right. And the willingness to take the time to make sure it's done right. Few people take the time to do that. They're willing to go to market with mistakes. And I find that you're less willing to go to market with mistakes, and I like that. It's been a godsend, I think, to the industry. And in terms of remote diagnostics and copy quality, I never thought I'd see the day that would come, but that's amazing. When we stop and think about it, being able to remotely service and analyze copy quality calls before you dispatch somebody. Wow. That's really
HP only. And we also picked up some great ideas on that as well. So we're looking at other places to allow that to happen. So for instance, if you see a drum or a dev or fuser has generated an alert, it'd be great to be able to press the button right then and say, go and run this and see what it's like, feedback to me. So really, I think the next year we'll see a lot more integration and work on service alerting. So the consumables works really, really well. The meters works really, really well. And alerting works incredibly well as well. But we need to turn the screws on that to try and reduce the number of engineering call outs, to do remote fixing, to increase the mean time between engineer visits, all of that, using that data from the system to help our customers to enable that.
Can you expand a little bit? A lot of people they've got a ton of zebras that are on there that are non-managed, right? And so they've got all that information. Where do you see the Zebra integration going and the value of it?
So we started off with Zebra, and we worked very closely with them and said to them, we've got a fixed development window. Do you want us to do firmware updates, or do you want us to do configuration? And they wanted us to do firmware updates now. So any of the Zebras that you've got out there now, if you want to move the Linkos up and you want to get your Linkos above 6.1, you can press the button on the Insight, and it will actually do that upgrade on Zebra. So that means that there's a lot of very old Zebra feeds out there. I think when we ran the stats, Sean, we were seeing ones that were 14, 16 years old and above. So for the reseller community, it's an opportunity to look at any Zebras, and you might have not historically provided that product, and that might be an opportunity to sell those Zebra products. And then obviously with the software as well, we count the number of labels printed. So if you've got a single function device that's only printing one label, you can actually do a replenishment service on those labels quite easily. And Zebra themselves are now looking at ways to do supplies attached. They're looking at smart consumables, so rolls with smart chips in them. So if you move a roll from one machine to another, it will take the number of prints with it as well. So I'm not quite sure when that's coming, but that could be quite useful.
That will be quite useful, that market. That's one of the complications of managing that from a managed service. I know Zebra is very committed to getting into the managed service side of the business. And it sounds like they're working towards that and taking input from you, obviously.
Yeah, we're working very closely with them, which is great.
That's good.
You know, a lot of people actually will run multiple zebras. So if you've got 3 labels, you'll have 3 zebras because the time taken to switch the roles is greater than buying 2 extra zebras, and you can just pull the labels off and stick them on the packages.
Right. That's good.
So it's quite interesting when you visit some of these sites where they don't change labels; they just have multiple printers.
Yet I was just at the ER not too long ago, and that they did exactly that. There was like 3 monitors and 5 zebra printers. So
Yeah. So it also works for these wristband ones as well, the HS range, I think they're called.
yep, that's it.
Yeah.
I got one
There's
of
a lot of
that.
those printed now.
So every dealer out there with a hospital customer, there's a bigger opportunity waiting for you. You're using EKM.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. This has been very informative. I hope everybody enjoys it as much as I did. And Ian, thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy. It's later in the day for you than it is for us. So taking the extra time to meet with us is really appreciated greatly. And thanks a lot. Sean, you got anything you want to add?
I think that's it. It's been a pleasure. I mean, working with these guys as long as I have, and Ed's been able to reap the benefits as well. Once we jumped in, I mean, the relationship that we have with EKM is just amazing. And
I love it. It's been candid. It's been honest. It's been on the table all the time, and I just couldn't enjoy it anymore. So thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks, Ian.
Okay. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.